All right, we got him right now. We got our buddy Chris Doering from the SEC Network. Talk a little college ball here. It's not much better there, but they did get a win.
Cleanse the palate.
By the way, Chris was one-time Jacksonville Jaguar.
That's right.
Don't you forget that.
I bet.
It's your fault too, Doering.
Yeah, for a minute.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
Second draft class in the history of that franchise.
That's right.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, man.
All right.
I was thinking is you like to play some blackjack from time to time, right?
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah, who doesn't like it? So, what it feels like to me, the analogy that I make is you're never happy playing blackjack because you go to the table, you lose a big hand, and you shouldn't have gone that big. You win a big hand, and you should have bet more, right? So there's nothing ever fulfilling about it. And I kind of got that same feeling watching the Florida win on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they won,
I know.
but it's still leaving me a little unfulfilled with the details of the way the game played out.
No question about it. That run defense, man. I said it a couple weeks ago, and I'll still say it. That is a soft defense, man. We're paying coordinators $1 million each, and man, that defense looks no better. Chris, make some sense of it. Is it schemed to you? I mean, give me some X's and O's stuff. Do they just not follow their assignments? I do have this stat. Florida missed 23 tackles against Mississippi State, the most since missing 11 against Miami in Week 1. And by the way, their next opponent leads the nation in running the football. That would be UCF. So help me understand that a little bit. What is wrong with that? Where is that ferocious Florida defense that we used to know and love?
Man, it's long gone.
Yeah.
And every year the defense seemingly gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
And it's hard to fathom when you turn on the Tennessee-Oklahoma game and you see two defenses that are playing really hard, that are hitting. Like it looked like kind of some old-school defense being played out there. So it is possible. I think a lot of people say, well, you don't hit as much in practice anymore, and you can't practice tackling, and you play in the game. You're not maybe as adept at it as you once were, but I don't believe that, because I do think there are some teams out there, including those two, that still play great defense. I think to answer your question, I think it's a little bit of both of those things, combination of three things maybe. One, we're obviously still not, we don't have the guys up front that you talk about, those ferocious Florida defenses of the past had. Two, I do think there is some truth to the way you practice, and I still think you have to have some days. Georgia still has those days where Urban Meyer used to call like Bloody Tuesday.
Oh yeah,
where you have to hit, you have to practice. It's a physical game. I also think some of it's scheme as well too. I never played defensive line or linebacker, but I've talked to a lot of guys that have, and there's frustration in the way that Florida plays a little more laterally than they do getting upfield. There's not as much penetration. I honestly believe penetration is the key to stopping both the run and the pass. You get in up. You get vertical, you get through there, and you mess up pulling offensive linemen. You're able to disrupt handoffs. You're able to force, in an RPO game or read option game, you're able to force those gives and stuff. So it's like I think it's a combination of a lot of different things, and I don't know how fixable it is at this point during the season. I talked to one Florida fan and said, well, maybe we can just change what we're doing schematically, and that. It's not really something you do in the middle of the season. This defense is kind of who they are based upon what is being coached, and I just don't know how much you can change at this point.
Well, to your point, it feels like defensively you're tied to the talent that's there. Like if you have an offensive struggles, there's always this hope that you can put something in, discover someone. Like you mentioned penetration. I feel like sometimes if I watch Desmond Watson, I see a guy, I see the snap, and he just kind of stands up in the middle of the defensive line. Almost as if that's the plan. If it's not the plan, I don't know how that survives the film room on Monday. But I want to go to the offensive side of the ball, Chris. I'm wondering if at any how do you divide up this playing time? I can't help sit here and thinking, this Jaden Ball looks like he might be the most explosive best back, yet he's not getting a ton of carries. And I know a lot goes into young players and how you divvy up their playing time. And I like
Trey Webb, too, though. I like the Jackson kid look good, too.
I'd like to see a lot more of the younger guys. I'd like to see a lot more Aiden Mizell. He feels like he's the best one out there, and he's not getting playing time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I question those things.
Yeah, I've been talking to our buddy Shane Matthews for a while, who's said the same thing about Mizell, getting a chance to see him in practice a little bit more and wanting to have more opportunity to get him on the field. Obviously, you're looking to bring speed to that unit, and I think he's got some of that. As it relates to the running back position, this coaching staff is very high on Montrell Johnson, and that's part of the reason why you're looking at Etienne playing in red and black now. And I think he's going to continue to be the number one back, in my opinion, as long as he's healthy, and they're going to try to sprinkle some of those other guys in there. But honestly, I think one of the problems offensively that I see, is trying to play too many people. And I think at the end of the day, you got to play your best 11, figure out who gives you that best opportunity. Even dating back to like some of the scrimmages I went to, like there was like you thought you were looking at hockey line changes with all, even the offensive line.
Yeah.
You're changing a bunch of guys in the middle of drives. I do think this staff does deserve some credit, because I think one of the things they do well is evaluating talent in the transfer portal and bringing guys in. I think DK and Badger have been really good on the offensive side. And we had Graham Mertz on our show yesterday. I cannot say enough, and you guys know I come on here every week talking about how much I think he needs to continue to be the guy. He is such an amazing leader. They lost Ricky Pearsall, his number one receiver last year, to the NFL. Number two guy, Trey Wilson, has been out the last couple weeks, and yet he still finds ways to create rhythm and chemistry with the guys that are out there. Marcus Burke catches his first career touchdown with the Gators. And I asked Graham yesterday to evaluate his performance. I mean, the guy, I think he completed 90% of his passes
perfect.
or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing.
Right.
And yet the first thing he says is, man, I'm so happy for DJ. He looked really comfortable out there, like deflecting all praise from himself to help include the other guys, including the young quarterback who's the future of this program.
And those guys look good together, Chris, right? You can see the sideline. That's not an act.
Right.
Right.
They cheer for each
cool.
other.
They cheer for each other. And that's good to see.
I think that is, and going, when we look back in a couple of years at this team, I hopefully we're looking at DJ as one of the top quarterbacks. Hopefully we're seeing the same progression that Tennessee's seeing with Nico and that Texas is seeing with Arch. And we're going to thank Graham for what he did in helping to bring that kid along. And again, I just can't say enough about what Graham's meant to this program the last few years, and some really trying times here in Gator Nation.
Oh, it's got to be hard. And listen, I mean, enjoy that victory on Saturday. They're going to be few and far between. I think everybody kind of knows and understands that as we watch. You got your answer as far as your SEC ratings over the two. Who's the worst team in the SEC? And I mean,
that's a bad team.
Yeah.
I hope Jeff Levy can get it right. I like Jeff Levy, but man, they are obviously devoid of some talent.
Ooh,
we were just talking about defense. I mean, their defense made our defense look like the 84 Bears, man.
I know. It was a Thursday. Back to our defense, though. I mean, 3rd and 10, run up the middle, first down. I mean, I just never see this. Well, we have more and more of the last few years. 4th and 4, run up the middle, first down. Just stunning. So, paint us before we go. Just paint us a quick little picture here of Georgia, Alabama. What do you think? What happens? And boy, you want to talk about a slugfest? We got one coming up this weekend.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, to think about how. I guess early in the season, you're such a small sample size that you're trying to take what you've seen and project it for the rest of the year. Before, 2 weekends ago, I was thinking that, man, Alabama looks bad. Their offensive line can't protect again. They got so many of these self-inflicted penalties and tackles for loss and turnovers. And then they go up to Wisconsin, and they clean it all up, and they look explosive, and they look aggressive, and the defense is swarming, and you watch Georgia struggle with Kentucky the way that they did, and it's completely kind of changed my mindset of that game. I've been really frustrated with watching Georgia. They're a team, on offense right now that has a lot of missed assignments and up front on the run game on the offensive line. The receivers aren't blocking well on the outside, and you're getting screens blown up, and runs are potentially could have been 10, 12-yard gains or only 3-yard gains. So I think there's a lot to be concerned about, particularly with the way that Georgia's defense rushed Vandegrift in that Kentucky game. They did not do it with great discipline. They were not able to corral Vandegrift and keep him in the pocket. You do that to Jalen Milroe, and it's going to be nighty-night. So I honestly believe that I kind of lean Alabama now. I do think it's going to be a slugfest, but I'm starting to feel like there's a lot of deficiencies that I'm seeing on that Georgia team that I haven't seen in the last couple of years. And I wonder how much you guys remember that analogy. Urban Meyer, after winning a couple championships, described some of the young guys as waking up on third base and never even making that appearance at home plate. I'm starting to feel like there's some of the guys on the Georgia roster that don't have that same hunger, that don't understand what it was like to try to pursue those championships after 4 decades of not having them. And I wonder how much complacency is taking away from their ability to have that same drive that they once did. And I look at that schedule. I think this is a massive game for Georgia because they got to go to Ole Miss, they got to go to Austin, they got Tennessee coming to town. I mean, this could be a 3-loss team if Georgia doesn't get things right.
Early season answers on Saturday. Chris, we appreciate you so much. Thank you, my man.
Thanks, Chris.
You guys. Take care.
All right, there he goes, Chris Doering from the SEC Network.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here. Thanks so much for checking out our 1010XL Florida Gators page. If you're looking for more Florida content, subscribe now. But if you're looking for some professional football, NFL content, head over to our 1010XL Jaguars page.